Hello, thanks for joining me for your June monthly horoscope for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Every time I drop a video, you'll get an alert. Also, if you'd like to ascend above your zodiac sign forecast and embrace more serious astrology, check out my very special offer. A character analysis and a 12-month forecast, 30% off, will give you searing insights into your future prospects and also help you to understand what makes you tick at a deeper level. This is based on your time, date and place of birth and is totally unique to you. No two charts are the same. Please see the link below for more. Hello Capricorn and welcome to your in-depth monthly forecast for June. This month begins with Mars, the planet of power and of passion in your sector of relating, but it's in a direct opposition with Pluto in your sign for the first 10 days of this month. This is going to give you an innate ability to articulate what you need from situations to the nth degree. So that can be something that's very, very useful to you if you need to protect your position. And the reason for that, Capricorn, is as we begin this month, there is a grand collection of energy in the air sign, which is all about communication, of Gemini. Now, Gemini is the third zodiac sign of the zodiac, but for you, this is house 6. So it's all about the finer details. It's kind of redolent of a Virgoan energy. So it's about precision, making sure everything is working very well. So if you're someone who's tremendously well ordered in your everyday existence, you may find that there are a few marginal changes that you can make which give you those marginal gains. And all of those can add up to quite a big and substantive alteration if you really put your heart and soul into it. Also, your ruler Saturn is in a very supportive relationship with the Sun in the first week. So if you want to really scrutinize your books, look at your domestic cash flow, find ways that you can make some cost savings, find some ways that you can do things in a more economical way, the scrutinization you can bring to your situation can be absolutely sensational. But it is true that Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, is in retrograde as this month begins. And it means that if you're attending or due to attend an appointment at a hospital, chiropractic, the homeopath, you need to take your vet for its annual vaccination, the chances of a rejig to an appointment are extraordinarily high. What we can do with Mercury retrograde, however, is anticipate the things that may need our attention. So, for example, the 6th house represents the domestic scene. So, is there an appliance that perhaps needs upgrading, servicing, or replacing? So this would be a very good time to think about those things. So if your vacuum cleaner breaks down, you're not instantly thinking, blinking Mercury retrograde. But you know yourself that Mercury retrograde can definitely throw up some gotchas. But do see it as an opportunity to reform, to rejig, to recalibrate the things that the 6th house influences. So one of the big areas with the 6th house is actually not just about making sure your house is neat and tidy, organised, decluttered, that everything runs with military precision. It is about actually making sure that there's purity running through your whole existence. So that can be in the type of things you're eating. So if you're a busy person and you tend to grab those convenience foods, using quite a lot of microwave cooking, stuff like that, that's an area where you can add value using the 6th house energy. Don't see it as being profoundly unsexy, because Capricorn, a glorious change occurs on the 2nd, because Venus, the planet of love and affection, moves into the 7th house, joining up with Mars. Having Venus here is very harmonizing, and it's going to be with you for the next 28 days. If you'd like to meet someone new, its instant relationship with Jupiter, the planet of fortune, which moved last month into your sector of everyday communication, suggests an email, text message, or internet contact could ping into your situation, and very quickly you could be enchanted by what someone has to offer. So the only catch really, apart from that Mars-Pluto opposition, which could see many of us being very determined to do what we want to do, and in your case it's going to be a desire to really punch across your viewpoint in relationships. But there is a clash between Neptune and Mercury right at the start of this month, which could be quite tricky. This is because Neptune can be a swirling mist. It's a very gassy planet. It's very hard to get a firm fix on what Neptune represents, but it can dissolve. And it's actually in a right angle with Mercury in retrograde in your 6th house of details, and Neptune's in your 3rd house of everyday communications. So something you get told in the first week may not be true, not necessarily maliciously, it may just be a mistake. And then you could act on that, and then it could be a little bit embarrassing. So double, treble, quadruple check every single piece of important information. Because if you do go into battle mode with Mars opposite Pluto, the chances are you're not going to hold back, even though Venus is in the delicious 7th house. Now, Mars doesn't like being in Cancer very much, but Venus is fine there. So just use your power carefully in the first third of this month. But on the 10th, there is an annular solar eclipse, and it occurs in Gemini. So over the next 6 months, whether you want to reform some bad old habits, be a bit more virtuous, tighten your belt in some kind of way, lose some weight, be a bit more disciplined about those calorific goodies or the booze. I read today that a lot of us have been drinking more in the lockdown. It's not a surprise. It is something that can be quite insidious. If you want to change your job to do something that sees you helping people and giving you that sense of feeling worthwhile, that you're making a contribution, then this solar eclipse is just perfect to do that. But it is squared by Neptune, so your decision making needs to be informed by a factual analysis that is correct. And as I said before, with Neptune squaring Mercury, things can get blurred and distorted. So whatever sacrifices, Neptune in Pisces can be very self-sacrificing, you want to make, especially in this relationship with this 6th house solar eclipse, you need to think it through because it has to work for you. The 6th house is about making everything in balance. It's a really good area. And also on the 11th, with Mars moving out of the sign of Cancer and moving into the sign of Leo, where it will be for 6 weeks, this really gives you a great deal more passion and ability to draw money to you, especially if you're an entrepreneurial type of Capricorn, which is often the case. But on the 14th, your ruler of Saturn finally reaches an exact point of conflict with Uranus. This has been building up all year since the 2nd of January. We've all seen that there's been a lot of protests, a lot of pushing back on authority. Saturn represents authority, particularly in your sign. In the sign of Aquarius, it's much more about the people's authority. But with Uranus in your sector of personal expression, the more radical or even outspoken side of your nature could have seen you splashing money, being a bit more mischievous in some ways about living your life in the way you want to, your set of rules. But that energy between Saturn and Uranus, because one's about freedom, one's about discipline, it reaches a high point then. So if you do feel a bit hamstrung, a bit hemmed in, it wouldn't be a surprise. But on the 20th, the Sun moves into your opposite sign, but gloriously forges a perfect trine of 120 degrees with Jupiter for the following week, which is incredibly enabling. A conversation you have at the start of week 3, particularly with Venus in an opposition with Pluto, can be really fated. So if you're looking to meet somebody new, a magical conversation is entirely possible. It is true that Jupiter goes retrograde the same day. If you're thinking of buying a vehicle between now and the 28th of July particularly, just really check out its history very carefully. I bought a new car last year. I was quite amazed when you're looking around all the different platforms, the digital platforms that market cars, how vehicles will be described by the vendor. And you can actually pay in the UK to have the history of a vehicle checked out. I was quite shocked to see that these absolutely perfect cars had been involved in massive traffic accidents, completely written off, the front of them completely scrunched up. And so I was lucky enough to be able to use those services, which are not too expensive, about £5 a search, to check out the vehicle that did have a good track record. So if you're thinking of buying a new mode of transport from the 20th of this month through to the end of July, then that kind of thing is a good thing to do. Scrutinise details. Same if you're looking to buy any kind of technology, because the third house very much about technology. Watch out for scams. They're everywhere these days. We all know that. But be particularly vigilant, because Jupiter represents borders. And a lot of these scams do come in from outside our particular domain. So just be mindful of that. However, that very fortunate link with the Sun, I feel, can still be a wonderful springboard to a very joyful connection with someone. And especially with Venus in opposition with Pluto, because it's very alluring and sultry and attracting. But on the 22nd, Mercury ends that retrograde. And I think that's something we can all be delighted about, but it doesn't come out of shadow. In other words, it doesn't get back to the point where the retrograde began at late 16 degrees in Gemini until the 26th. So it will be then that you're probably caught up on those appointments that I mentioned may get rejigged or changed around. On the 24th, however, there is a full moon in your sign. Now, this suggests if you're not happy in a relationship, and the moon is in detriment in your sign, so if you're not happy in a relationship, it's going to come to the fore on this full moon. But Jupiter's in support, and it's kind of saying, even if you don't feel completely fulfilled, if there is a discussion to be had, the more truthful and honest both parties can be, the more you could evolve from this situation in a way which protects both of you. On the 25th, Neptune does go retrograde. Again, be cautious about any kind of buying and selling online. And that's going to last for the next 5 months. From the 26th to the 30th, Mars is in an opposition with Saturn. The square between Saturn and Uranus, which has, so we've got a T-square of Mars, Saturn and Uranus between the 26th and the 30th. But the square that's gone on between Saturn and Uranus all year, remember I said to you, it may have seen you thought, I'll do what I want. You know, whether it's slightly bending the COVID rules to get together with your mates, or some kind of pushing back, it depends on your nature. You may be someone who's very adherent to the regulations, because that's the more traditional way that Capricorns are. You uphold societal values generally. But if you are a bit more of a rebel, that rebel side of your nature can again come to the fore from the 26th to the 30th. And it could be around partying, it could be around sex, it could be around money. But whatever happens is down to you, not what's happening up there. That just provides the umbrella energy. How we react to it is our responsibility. On the 26th, as I mentioned before, Mercury ends its retrograde. Its shadow period, which is brilliant, because that really is going to see an unravelling of any kind of bitty, irritating changes and things that might go slightly awry this month for us all in terms of the organisation. But the real takeouts for this month for you are that solar eclipse. It's really giving you an opportunity to rejig your world in a way which is more fulfilling, more in balance, more gives you the opportunity to do your bit for others, but also do your bit for yourself. But there's definitely potential for relationship changes this month, or for you to be very outspoken and assert your needs in a relationship which is not working quite so well for you.